Audio Jungle.
In this video, we'll be discussing the importance of quality control and consistent sorting guidelines. Having a quality of merchandise is critical to the success of our business. The thrift business does not differ from the retail business in that a quality product plus a good price equals sales. The importance of the sorter's job in the thrift business and the buyer's job in the retail business are comparable. Both select the inventory to be sold in the store, which is a key component in the formula for long-term success. The question is, how does someone determine what the right product is? To start with, we need to define the standard of quality. Quality must be high and consistent. Clothing and shoes must be clean, in good condition, and without defect. Miscellaneous and household items must be in good condition, in working order, and without defect. Furniture must be in good repair and reasonably clean. Secondly, there must be sorting guidelines established. The guidelines will be illustrated by sorters posing as actors upcoming in the video. Even with a defined standard of quality and guidelines, the subjectivity of sorting is still an issue. It is understood that sorting is very subjective and each sorter will view things a little differently. Fashion is a good example of subjectivity in sorting. Fashion is such a personal thing that you cannot simply base your decision to keep or not to keep on your personal taste. A good rule of thumb for fashion is to follow the trends of regular retail, making allowances for outdated items that are in exceptional condition. If everyone follows the standard of quality, the sorting guidelines, and the rule of fashion, we will reach our objective of having a consistently high quality of merchandise in our stores, despite having many different individuals doing the sorting. This video will serve as a tool to help everyone learn and remember the needs to know of sorting for the St. Vincent de Paul stores.
Hi, we're Marlene and Bonnie. We're going to be showing you how to sort for the St. Vincent de Paul. I'm going to show Bonnie different things about a button-down shirt. Bonnie's going to talk about miscellaneous household items or knickknacks. Go ahead, Bonnie.
I'm going first.
Yeah.
First, I've got a glass. The first thing I do is take a look at it for cracks. Take a look at the bottom, check for cleanliness, and run my fingers around all the edges to check for chips. This looks good. Next, I got a pot with a lid. Again, check for cleanliness. Look at the bottom, look it all over for cracks, chips. I have noticed that on the lid, there is one, like an imperfection. What would you think that was, a chip or an imperfection?
No, I just think that's in the process of it being made, that one right there.
So that would be a keeper.
Yep.
And last, I've got a guy in a rocking chair. And
He's actually a piggy bank.
Yes, he is a piggy bank. And he's missing his rubber stopper at the bottom, so he would be tossed. And next is you.
Next is me. And again, I'm doing button-down shirts. First of all, obviously buttons. Check for the buttons. Make sure they're all in place. And if it's a long sleeve shirt, make sure the buttons are on the cuff also. If it is to be a button-down shirt, make sure these buttons are there too. On the collar. The collar itself, make sure it's not frayed, stained, faded. We have to make sure the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt have no rips, stains, spills. The other thing we want to check on the shirts is the armpits. Make sure they're not stained or dirty.
Looks
you
like
can
that's
use a visual, or you can smell it. That's not my method of doing it. But
And what about the pockets?
And the pockets. Always make sure you check your pockets. You never know if you find a lottery ticket or some interesting notes that people leave in their pockets. The fabric, make sure it's not bald, frayed. Make sure the seams are nice and straight, not askew. And the hem on the shirt, make sure it's actually sewn. As far as embroidery on the front of the shirt. There could be a plant name or something like that, but not a uniform look like Tim Hortons or Simpson Sears. Okay, that's about it. Thank you very much. Hope you learned something.
Okay.
Hey, Gita.
Hey, Yvonne.
What are you doing today?
I'm sorting books today. What are you doing today?
I'm sorting ladies' lingerie up on the 5th floor.
Really? Let's go.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome to the 5th floor.
Thanks, Yvonne. So what is the first thing you do when you're checking bras?
Well, the first thing I do is check for tears and rips.
Okay. Do you check for the elasticity in the band and
Yes.
straps?
Yes, I certainly do. And I also check for the clasps to make sure that they're working properly.
Okay. What about the wires? Do you check those?
I check the wires also to make sure that they're not bent or broken.
Good idea. Don't want to hurt ourselves, right? What about ladies' undies?
For the ladies' undies, I check for tears and stains, and I check for the elasticity.
Really? Whoops. Good one, Yvonne. Woo! Love that. Excellent job, Yvonne.
Never did that in my life before. I would like to go down and check your books, if that's all right.
All right, sure. Let's go down to the first floor.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome to the book department, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Have you heard of the saying, you have your nose buried in that book?
Yes, I have.
Well, the first thing you do when you check in a book is to check for a musty smell. Smell that.
Oh.
Yeah. And also you would check to see if it has yellowed pages. If it had those two things, you would recycle the book.
Very good.
Okay.
What else do you check for?
I would check to see if the spine of the book is in good shape. Flip open the book to make sure it's not falling apart. Then open up the front page to see if it is a discarded library book.
And what do you do?
Well, if it is a library book, we definitely recycle it.
And what else would you do?
Well, the next thing I would do is to also check to see if there's any writing in the book, like puzzle books or kids' coloring books, right?
Okay.
And if you see that, I would try and tear the page off carefully without destroying the shape of the book. If that can't be done, recycle the book.
Let's recycle the book.
The last thing I would do is to check to see if it has any garage sale prices. Check the back, the front, the side. And if there is one, make sure that's been taken off.
Very good.
And that's all there is to checking books.
Very good. One more question.
Okay.
What do you do about school books or encyclopedias?
Good question, Yvonne. Oh, definitely recycle those.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Sort the coat.
Okay.
Okay. First thing I look for is like the front of it to see if there's any stains, rips, tears, anything like that. And I'll make sure you check the zippers on the pockets.
Right.
And I always pull the pockets out just to make sure that they're not ripped or torn on the inside.
Right.
Because money falls through. Might find some. Never know.
That's right. That's right.
So there. And then I unzip the zipper and open it up and check the inside. Now this is a double reversible coat.
Right.
So I would have to check the pockets on the inside there and there.
Oh, yes. And what about the collar?
Yep, I was just gonna say that. Check the collar for like sweat marks or fraying or anything like that. And I always pull the sleeves back through to make sure that none of the seams are ripped.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Since this is a reversible one. And back through, make sure. Yep, they look good. And come back through. And then I would turn it over and check the back of it. Make sure that there's no rips or tears or anything like that. And if it has a hood,
Right.
make sure that the hood is either attached or
it's
in
not
the
missing,
pocket or something that you can put it on.
Right.
And then just try the zipper. Make sure it goes in and up and down okay. And it does.
So it's all good.
So that's how I would sort a coat. Okay.
Okay. Jane, I'm going to show you, I'm Joyce, I'm going to show Jane how to sort a pair of pants. The very first thing I would do, Jane, is check it for overall cleanliness. Because like if they're not clean, then the rest doesn't really matter. And then next I would check and make sure that the zipper and the snap or the button, whatever it is functioning and in good working order. And I would check the pockets, not just to make sure they're in good shape, but you never know what might be in them, which is why we always wear gloves, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Then I would check and make sure that the pants hadn't been altered. Like if the tag says a 32 leg, people don't want to get it home and find out like it's 28.
Right.
And then I would check the bottom of the pants to make sure there's no fraying, check all the seams, check inside, make sure everything is good. And if all those things are good, then I would keep them.
Hi April, what are we doing today?
Hi Darlene, just doing some sorting. You want to learn how?
Sure.
Okay, first of all, when sorting any clothing, we check the entire garment for stains, holes, tears, and fraying.
Okay.
Make sure all the buttons are there and the zippers work, and all clothing should be currently fashionable. We don't keep anything that is way out of date.
Ah, yes. Probably like this dress here. It's pretty out of date.
Yes, we wouldn't keep this. It's no longer in style. People just wouldn't buy it.
Yep. All right. So is there anything that you could tell me about how we would go about inspecting the garments?
Well, I find it best to systematically check all garments. I do a top to bottom, front to back check.
Okay.
So for this dress, I would start at the top
Okay.
with the collar,
All right.
go across the shoulders, down the sleeves, check the armpits, make sure there are no stains.
Okay.
Down the sleeves to the cuffs, and they're often stained or frayed.
Mm-hmm.
Do both sides, down the front. If there were any buttons, you'd make sure they were all there.
Mm-hmm.
Go down the front, check the side seams and the hem, flip it over, do the back, across the top, down the sleeves,
Okay.
down the back. If there was a zipper, you'd run it up and down, make sure that it worked.
Yeah.
And this dress was good.
All right. Awesome.
What about this ball hat? You want to try that?
Sure. So for ball caps, we just have to make sure that there's no ripping, frayed edges, no stains, especially sweat stains along the inside of the hat, that the button's intact. If there's a Velcro strap, you want to make sure that it joins properly. If it's a plastic strap, you want to make sure that it's not cracked or broken. And yeah, so that is for ball caps. What about these pajamas?
With any two-piece items, you want to make sure that both pieces are the same size to start with.
Okay.
And this one is. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And then you do the top to bottom, front to back check again.
All right.
Collar, the shoulders, check the armpits, down the sleeves and look at the cuffs.
Okay.
Down the front, make sure all the buttons are there.
All right.
Check the side seams and the hem. Flip it over and do the same at the back.
Okay.
Across the top, do the sleeves, and it's good.
Awesome.
With the pants, you want to make sure the waistband is not all stretched out or the elastic's deteriorating. And then you just go down the front, checking both legs for stains and holes. Check the hems.
Okay.
Flip it over. Check the back seam, make sure it's not coming apart.
Especially in the bum.
Yeah. Down the side seams, and it's good.
All right. Awesome.
About those toys, you want to try those?
Okay, so I'll start off with stuffed toys. So for stuffed toys, you just want to make sure that there's no rips, holes in it, that there's no matting in the material, that the eyes and the nose are still intact, and if there's any other buttons that could fall off, that they're still attached. For dolls, you want to make sure that their heads are still on, obviously, and that they still have their hands and feet, that they're not drawn on, that their hair is still in good condition. And with dolls like these, if they have plastic or glass eyes, that they are still intact as well. For cars or trucks or anything like that, you want to make sure that if they have wheels that could come off or a steering wheel, that they're still on and everything's intact. If they're dirty, you want to clean them off. And if they have a battery compartment, you want to make sure that there's no corrosion and that the toy is still in working order, like this one. That one's a little noisy. And then a good example of a toy that doesn't work would be one that's falling apart, just like that. And yeah, so there we go.
Excellent.
All right, thanks a lot, April.
Hi, I'm Jean.
And I'm Chris.
And I'll be sorting shoes. You make sure that both the same size, the same shoe, not two left or two right feet. And you check the bottom, make sure it's not cracked. The heels, make sure they're not run down. You check the smell, of course. If they're really old and smelly, we don't want them. The inside, make sure there's nice. The heel here, if it's not worn, like this is kind of worn down. Make sure it has laces. Make sure there's no holes. Make sure it's not coming apart on the seams here.
Good.
Okay. And then sandals. Same thing, check the heels, check the bottom, make sure nothing. Make sure, again, same size. Any straps or buckles, make sure they're all working. And the inside, here too, they look nice and clean.
Good. Okay, I'll be sorting a sweater. The sweaters, just lay them down, check the overall, make sure it's clean, doesn't smell. Check your seams for rips or holes. Your cuffs, so that they're not too stretched. Waistbands and neck as well. Don't want anything too stretched. Make sure they're clean in the neck. The bottom, the back of it looks good. Make sure there's no ballies or fuzzies on it. Not too worn. Some sweaters you can get with zippers or buttons. Make sure that they all have buttons. The buttonholes are good and that the zippers are workable. And how about a t-shirt?
T-shirt, same almost as a sweater. You put it down, make sure it's all clean, especially the underarms, not stretched out, the neck or the sides too. Nice even seams. Check front and back, of course. Make sure it's in fashion. And if there's any designs on it or anything like that, make sure it's not peeling off. Or if there's a saying, make sure it's not offensive to anybody.
And what if the colors are fading?
Yeah, if it's faded.
Too faded?
Yeah, you wouldn't keep it either.
Good.
Just to recap, check zippers and buttons. Make sure zippers work and are not broken. No buttons are missing. Check for holes, tears, snags, and worn spots. Check entire garment for stains, but especially neck, armpits, crotches, and cuffs. Check that both pieces of two-piece suits or outfits are the same size. Make sure pockets are empty. Make sure clothing is currently in style. And make sure clothes don't smell bad. Example, mothballs or smoke. Sometimes clothing can be saved just by washing it. A recap of shoes. Check heels and make sure they aren't worn too much. Check to make sure sandals have straps and buckles. Check that both shoes are the same size and are for opposite feet. Check soles for wear and cracks. For purses, check zippers and straps. Make sure the purse is empty and clean. Recapping toys. Check cars to make sure all wheels are there. Check dolls to be sure heads, hands, and feet are there. Check stuffed animals for holes, matting, and cleanliness. Make sure the toy is not broken or missing pieces. Games and puzzles. Make sure boxes are in decent shape. Check to see if it appears all pieces are there and in good shape. Miscellaneous and housewares. Check for cracks, chips, and broken pieces. Make sure all pieces are there. Check to make sure small appliances and lamps work. Check cords for wear or breakage. A review of books. Check for musty smell, badly yellow pages. Open the book to make sure it's not falling apart. Check for any writing in the book. Make sure coloring books or puzzle books haven't been written in. Recycle discarded library books, textbooks, and encyclopedias. CDs, movies, tapes, and albums. Open cases and make sure that the tape or disc is inside. Check albums and discs to make sure they aren't too badly scratched. Make sure the content matches the case. In general, open sealed boxes and check contents. Take off garage sale prices. Clean dirty items. And furniture should be cleaned and vacuumed. What we've attempted to do here is take a complex job and simplify it with standards and guidelines. We've illustrated some of the key considerations when separating the good from the bad. What we haven't talked about is how the demographics around the store affect the sorting and inventory makeup. A rural store within a farming community would need a much different inventory than that of a large city store with multicultural aspects. The sorter needs to be aware of this and cater to the local market. As you can see, there's much more to the sorter's job than first appears. Taking a mountain of cast-offs and turning them into a store of desirables is a daunting task. Hats off to all those in the business. To all you sorters out there, I'm not sure you know how important you are to our business. The work that you do is critical to our success. So if you've never heard the word thank you, I'm about to say it now. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
I don't want anybody to know it's me.
Never guess in a million years, Jane.